The Padma Purana. Om Shakti Hrim, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Shiva Sharma. Various sages wanted to hear a recital of the Padma Purana from Maharshana, and Maharshana told them the story of Shiva Sharma. On the shores of the Western Ocean there was a city named Dwaraka, also called Dwarakavati. The Brahmanas were the first of the four classes, and a Brahmana named Shiva Sharma lived in Dwaraka. He was learned in the Vedas and other Shastras, sacred texts, and always performed yajnas, sacrifice. Shiva Sharma had 5 sons, named Yajna Sharma, Veda Sharma, Dharma Sharma, Vishnu Sharma, and Soma Sharma. The sons were devoted to their father. They promptly obeyed whatever it was that their father wanted them to do. But Shiva Sharma was not quite sure about the extent to which his sons were devoted to him. He wanted to test them. Because Shiva Sharma had practiced various religious rites, he had acquired all sorts of magical powers. He used these powers to create an illusion that his wife had died. He then told Yajna Sharma, "Son, your mother has died and the dead body is cluttering up our house. Take a sword and cut up the body into several pieces, then throw the pieces away." Without questioning what his father had asked him to do, Yajna Sharma did what had been asked of him. Shiva Sharma concluded that Yajna Sharma was indeed devoted to his father. Shiva Sharma now decided to test Veda Sharma. He created a beautiful woman through his powers of illusion and pointed her out to Veda Sharma. "Now that your mother is dead, I would like to marry again," said Shiva Sharma. "Why don't you ask that woman if she will marry me? I am in love with her, and you must do all that is in your power to make her marry me." Veda Sharma asked the woman to marry his father, but she refused. She had no intention of marrying an old and diseased man and offered to marry Veda Sharma instead. But Veda Sharma insisted that the woman should marry his father. "Very well," said the woman, "I will consent to marry your father, but there is a condition. You must cut off your head with a sword and give it to me as a present. It is only after I get your severed head that I will marry your father." Veda Sharma probably did what had been asked of him. Shiva Sharma concluded that his second son Veda Sharma was also truly devoted to him. Shiva Sharma gave Veda Sharma's severed head to their third son Dharma Sharma. Dharma Sharma started to pray to the god Dharma Yamaraja. His prayers pleased to the god, and Dharma offered to grant Dharma Sharma a boon. Dharma Sharma desired the boon that his dead brother might be brought back to life, and that he himself might always be devoted to his father. These wishes were granted. Veda Sharma and Dharma Sharma went to meet their father and bowed down before him. Shiva Sharma concluded that his third son Dharma Sharma was also devoted to him. Desirous of testing his fourth son Vishnu Sharma, Shiva Sharma told him, "You know that I wish to marry this beautiful woman. Unfortunately, she is not at all keen to marry me. She thinks that I am old and diseased. Go to Indra's residence in Indraloka, heaven, Amaravati city, and get me some Amrita, a heavenly life-giving drink that should take care of my old age and ailments." Vishnu Sharma left for heaven, but Indra was not going to let Vishnu Sharma take away the Amrita so easily. he first sent a beautiful Apsara, heavenly dancer, named Menaka, to try and entice Vishnu Sharma. She offered to marry Vishnu Sharma and make this his life exceedingly happy. But Vishnu Sharma refused to be dislodged from his pursuit. Indra next sent all sorts of ghosts and demons to create impediments in the Vishnu Sharma's path. But Vishnu Sharma was unperturbed by this. Indra was so pleased as Vishnu Sharma's devotion to his father that he readily gave Vishnu Sharma some amrita. Vishnu Sharma brought this home to his father. Shiva Sharma concluded that his fourth son, Vishnu Sharma too, was devoted to him. He therefore resurrected his wife and told his sons, "I was merely trying to test you and your devotion. Your mother had not died at all. You have demonstrated that your devotion to me is above reproach. Through my powers, I am sending you straight to Vishnu's abode in Vishnu Loka." Because of their devotion to their father, the four sons went straight to heaven. This left their first son, Soma Sharma, on earth. Shiva Sharma told his son, "I am taking your mother with me to visit various tirthas, places of pilgrimage. Your brother brought me a pot of amrita. Here it is. Guard it well. I will ask for it when I return." After his parents left, Soma Sharma began to guard the pot of amrita diligently. Shiva Sharma's sole purpose was to test Soma Sharma. He used his powers to transform himself and his wife into lepers. In these hideous forms, they returned, and Shiva Sharma asked his son to nurse them. Soma Sharma did this faithfully and did not protest at all on the occasions on which his father abused him. Shiva Sharma now used his powers to make the pot of amrita empty and told his son, "I had forgotten all about the pot of amrita. Fetch it here. The amrita will cure me and your mother of the leprosy." Soma Sharma was greatly surprised to find that the pot of amrita was empty. But his devotion to his father had made him powerful as well. He used his powers to replenish the pot and brought the amrita to his father. Shiva Sharma was satisfied. He realized that also his fifth son was devoted to him. He now used his powers to take himself and his wife to Vishnu Loka. As for Soma Sharma, he spent his time in tapasya, meditation. While he was meditating, several Danavas, demons, came to disturb his prayers. Soma Sharma died from fright at the sight of these demons, and because of this, he was born as a demon in his next life. He was born as a Prahlada, the son of the demon Hiranyakashipu. But as a result of the punya, store of merit, that Soma Sharma had accumulated, Prahlada was devoted to Vishnu, also born as a demon. The gods once went to meet Vishnu. "We have no one who can rule us," they told Vishnu. "We need a king. Please, do something so that we can have a ruler." "A ruler named Indra will be born to your mother Aditi," replied Vishnu. Aditi was married to the sage Kashyapa. She was the mother of all the gods, and they were therefore also known as the Adityas. Aditi performed tapasya for 100 years of the god. After the period of meditation was over, a son was born to her. The son had 4 arms and shone with the radiance of 1,000,000 suns. The son had several names. Among them were Vasudatta, Vasuda, Akhandava, Marutvana, Madhava, Viduja, Pakashasana, Chakra and Indra. He became the ruler of the gods. There used to be a Brahmana named Somasharma. Somasharma lived in a tirtha named Vamana Tirtha on the banks of the river Reva. His wife was Sumana. Somasharma and Sumana were poor. Nor did they have any sons. This made Somasharma very unhappy. Sumana advised her husband to go and meet the sage Vasishtha. Perhaps the sage might be able to tell them how they could have a son. Somasharma went to Vasishtha's hermitage. "Why am I poor and why don't I have any sons?" he asked the sage. "You are poor because of the sins you committed in your early life," replied the sage. "Let me tell you your history. In his early life, Somasharma had been born as a Shudra. Shudra constitutes the least of the four classes in India. He had spent his life in agriculture and animal husbandry, and had accumulated a lot of wealth, but he had never donated any alms, nor had he ever bothered to listen to the Shastras or to visit places of pilgrimage. He had been obsessed with the accumulation of wealth. It was because of these sins that Somasharma had been born poor in this life. But if all I ever committed were sins, how came I to be born as a Brahmana in this life?" asked Somasharma. "Should I not have been born as a Shudra again?" "You are born as a Brahmana because you did perform some good deeds in your early life," replied Vasishtha. "Let me tell you about them." When Somasharma had been born as a Shudra, a learned Brahmana devoted to Vishnu had come to visit him. Somasharma had welcomed the Brahmana as an honored guest. Shukla Paksha is a lunar fortnight during which the moon wakes, and Ekadashi Tithi is the 11th lunar day. The next happened to Ekadashi to be Ekadashi Tithi in Shukla Paksha, and the Brahmana had observed a Vritra, religious rite, a market for such day. On seeing the Brahmana observe the rite, Somasharma had also observed the Vritra. This act of piety had ensured that Somasharma would be born as a Brahmana in his next life. "What you have to do now," continued Vasishtha, "is a prayer to Vishnu. It is Vishnu alone who can improve your lot and grant you a son." Somasharma and Sumana went to the banks of the river Reva, to a tirtha named Kapila Sangama. They started to pray to Vishnu there. They chanted a mantra that was a market for praying to Vishnu. There were many distractions that almost made Somasharma deviate from the path of meditation. He saw poisonous snakes, wild animals, ghosts and demons by his side, but he paid no attention to them and continued with his meditation. The heat, the cold, and the rains made him suffer, but he was unmoved. Vishnu eventually appeared before Somasharma. His complexion was blue and he was dressed in yellow clothing. His eyes were like lotus, and he held many weapons in his hands. "I am pleased with your prayers," said Vishnu. "What can I do for you? Would you like a boon?" "Yes, indeed I would," replied Somasharma. "Please grant me the boon that I may be devoted to you. Please ensure that I am no longer poor. And please grant me the boon that I may have a son who will be devoted to you." Vishnu granted these boons. As a son named Suvrata was born to Somasharma and Sumana. Many years ago, a king named Ritadvaja used to rule in the city of Videsha. Ritadvaja's son was Vali, and Vali's son was Rukmangada. Rukmangada had a wife named Sanhyavali, and Sanhyavali gave birth to Dharmangada. Dharmangada was devoted to Vishnu, and after he died, went straight to Vishnu Loka. He spent 1000 yugas in heaven and was thereafter born as Suvrata. Right from his childhood, Suvrata used to pray to Vishnu. He named all his friends after Vishnu's various names. He would forget hunger and thirst in the course of his meditation. When he grew up, Suvrata went to Mount Vaidurya on the banks of the river Narmada. For 100 years he meditated there. Vishnu granted him the boon that Suvrata and his parents would go to Vishnu Loka and live there for a very long time. You already know that Aditi was married to the sage Kashyapa, and the Aditi's son were the Adityas or gods. But the sage Kashyapa had another wife named Diti, and Diti's son were the Daityams or demons. The gods fought with the demons and killed several of them. In particular, Vishnu was responsible for killing many of Diti's children. Diti went and complained to Kashyapa, "My children are being killed by the gods." She said, "Please grant me a son who will be strong and powerful and a source of a joy to me." Kashyapa agreed. Diti meditated for 100 years and gave birth to a son named Bala. The word Bala means strength. Kashyapa taught Bala the Vedas and various other Shastras. When her son had grown up, Diti told Bala, "Several of my sons have been killed by the gods. I am thirsting for revenge. Defeat the gods, and I particularly hate Vishnu, and I want you to kill him." Prior to doing this, Bala thought that he ought to obtain some powers by performing tapasya. He went to the banks of the river Sindhu to meditate. Aditi got to know about this and warned her son Indra that Bala was meditating so as to become powerful. Once he accomplished this, he would be difficult to defeat him. If something was to be done, it should be done right away. Indra has a wonderful weapon known as the Vajra. While Bala was meditating, Indra slew him with the Vajra. That was the end of Bala and also of Diti's revenge. But Diti would not be denied. She went to Kashyapa and said, "My son Bala was meditating on the banks of the river Sindhu. That god for nothing sinner Indra has slain Bala while my son was meditating. Isn't it that grossly unfair? And aren't you going to do something about it?" Kashyapa agreed that it was unfair. He was furious that Indra had performed such a foul deed. "I will give birth to a son who will kill Indra," said Kashyapa. He plucked a hair from his head and flung it down on the ground. From this hair was created a first son named Vritra. Vritra was dark as the night and his eyes were yellow. He was armed with a shield and a sword. "Why have you created me?" asked Vritra. "What do you wish me to do?" "Kill that sinner Indra," said Kashyapa. "Destroy him and become the king of the gods yourself." Vritra started to practice the art of warfare so that he might be able to kill Indra. This news was carried to Indra and he was greatly alarmed. He sent the 7 great sages, Saptarishi, on a mission of peace to Vritra. They were to try and engineer a peace between Vritra and Indra. "Indra has sent us," the sages told Vritra. "He wishes to be friends with you. He does not want to be your enemy. Why don't you have a truce? Indra's kingdom can be divided into 2. You can rule it over one half and Indra will rule over the other. I have no objection to the truce. replied Vritra. But does Indra really want it? What guarantee is that he will abide by the condition of the truce? The killing of a Brahmana is a great sin, answered the sages. Indra has promised that if he goes back on his word, he will be guilty of the committing a sin. And the sin will be as severe as would have been the case had Indra actually killed a Brahmana. These words assured Vritra, and he agreed to the truce. The sages led Vritra to Indra, and the two to them made friends. Indra gave Vritra all sorts of offerings, including half of his kingdom. But Indra did not really mean a word of what he had said. He continued to look for a way of destroying Vritra. There was a beautiful garden named Nandana Kanana. On one occasion, Vritra went on a trip to the garden and was wandering around the place. Indra instructed an Apsara named Ramha to try and entice Vritra. Ramha was so beautiful that Vritra immediately fell in love with her. Please marry me, he told Ramha. I will marry you, replied Ramba. But you must always do exactly as I say. Vritra accepted this stipulation. After some days, Ramha asked Vritra to drink wine. How can I drink wine? Asked Vritra. I am the son of a Brahmana. Drinking wine would be a sin for me. But Ramha insisted. Vritra fell unconscious as soon as he had drunk the wine. Indra was waiting for this opportunity, and he killed Vritra with his Vajra. As per the conditions, the sin papa of killing of a Brahmana was incurred by Indra. Vritra's story is given in detail in the Devi Bhagavata Purana and differs in some essential respect from that given here. Vishwakarma is the architect of the gods. According to that account, Vritra was Vishwakarma's son, and Vritra and Indra fought for 100 years on the shores of the lake Manasa Saravara. The advice that a fake truce with Vritra should be agreed upon was proffered by Vishnu. Vritra also occurs in the Vedas. Having killed Vritra, Indra acquired the name of Vritragna. Diti went to Kashyapa again. Creation of the Maruts. Indra has killed Vritra as well, she said. Please let me have another son. And this time please make sure that the son does kill Indra. I will try, replied Kashyapa, but you will have to observe a religious rite for the period of 100 years. And throughout the period you must stay absolutely pure and observe rites of the cleanliness. If you can succeed in doing this, the son who will be born will kill Indra. But if you fail to stay completely clean, your son will become a friend and companion of Indra. Diti went to a hermitage and started to observe the religious rite Vrata. Indra had got to know what was afoot. He wanted to make sure that Diti did not succeed in her resolve. He therefore adopted the disguise of Brahmana and went to the hermitage. He promised to help Diti in her meditation. He brought her roots and fruits and flowers. He gathered wood for Diti and washed her feet. Diti came to trust Indra. For 90 years Diti observed the rites faithfully, and Indra could find no fault with her. But Diti gradually became a little careless. When 90 years were over, she once fell asleep without having washed her feet. This was an act of gross uncleanliness. Moreover, she had fallen asleep without having braided her hair. Indra seized his chance, because deity had committed an unclean act. Her defense had been lowered. Indra entered deity's womb. He sliced up the baby whom he found there into 7 parts with his vajra. These parts started to cry, and Indra said Maruda, which means don't cry. But the parts continued to cry, and Indra sliced up each of the 7 parts into 7 sections. There were these 49 sections in all. When these sons were born, they came to be known as Maruts, from the words Indra had used in addressing them. Since deity had not been able to complete her religious rite satisfactorily, the Maruts became friends and companions of Indra. They were elevated to the status of gods and became gods of the wind. Yama is a god of the death. He is also referred to as Mritya, Kava or Dharma. The sinners are punished by Yamaraja. Mrityu or Yama had a daughter named Sunitha. Sunitha was in the habit of going to the forest with her friends. She came across a hermitage there. A Gandharva, singer of heaven, named Sushankha, was busy meditating in the hermitage. Sunitha tried to disturb Sushankha's meditation, but the Gandharva paid no attention to her. He merely asked Sunitha to go away. Also, his ear had been roasted. He forgave Sunitha because she was a woman. But Sunitha would not leave. She was extremely proud that she was Yama's daughter. She slapped Sushankha, and at this Gandharva lost his temper. "You are really an evil woman," said Sushankha. "You deserve to be punished. I have been quietly trying to meditate, and you have been unnecessarily creating a disturbance. I curse you that your son will be exceedingly evil." There was a king named Anga, who was the son of the sage Atri. Anga once happened to go to the garden known as Nandanakanana, and came upon Indra there. Indra was being served by the gods, Gandharvas and Apsaras. Anga was greatly impressed. He wished to have a son who would be as powerful as Indra. Anga asked his father, "How can I have such a powerful son?" "You must pray to Vishnu," replied Atri. Anga went to Mount Sumeru to meditate. Mount Sumeru defies description. It is full of gold and jewels, and is frequented by the gods and their sages. Hermitage abound on the peak, and the Gandharvas can be heard singing. The Apsaras dance there. There are beautiful lakes in which lotus flowers bloom. It is from Mount Sumeru that the sacred river Ganga originates. Anga found a convenient cave on the banks of the Ganga. He made this his hermitage and started to pray to Vishnu. For 100 years Anga meditated. To test the king, Vishnu created all sorts of distractions. Wild animals and ghosts threatened him, but Anga was unmoved. Vishnu alone was in his heart. Finally Vishnu appeared before the king. "Your prayers have pleased me," said Vishnu. "What boon do you want?" "I wish to have a powerful and righteous son," replied Anga. "It shall be as you wish," said Vishnu. "Find a righteous woman and marry her. Your son will bring glory to the line of Atri." Meanwhile Sunitha had gone and told her father about Sushankha's curse, and Yama had been scandalized. He had realized that Sunitha had done a most improper thing by pestering the Gandharva. He advised Sunitha to perform tapasya in the forest. The effects of the curse might be mitigated as a result of this meditation. There was also the fact that no one wished to marry Sunitha. Everyone had got to know about Sushanka's curse, and who was going to marry a woman who would give birth to an evil son. But Sunitha had some friends. These friends taught her the art of charming men. They also knew that Anga had received a boon from Vishnu, that he would have a righteous and a powerful son. They figured that Vishnu's boon would more than compensate for Sushanka's curse, provided that Anga could be persuaded to marry Sunitha. Sunitha set about her task of charming Anga. She was so successful that Anga fell in love with her and the two married. Their son was Vena. Vena became learned in the Shastras and in the art of warfare. Dhanurveda. He was righteous and observed all the religious ceremonies. His mother Sunitha still remembered Sushanka's curse and did her best to instruct Vena in the duties of the righteous living. She was bent upon ensuring that Vena did not become evil. Vena became king after Anga and ruled well. His subject prospered. The sage had been hearing this story from Maharshana and they protested. What happened to Sushanka's curse? They asked. Besides, we have always heard that Vena was evil. I was coming to that, replied Maharshana. Vena is mentioned in other Puranas as well, and invariably is depicted as evil. The question of his having been initially good does not crop up. Ni Sushanka's curse mention it. It is merely mentioned that Vena associated too much with his maternal grandfather Mrityu. Mrityu was evil and Vena picked up evil ways from his grandfather. In other Puranas, Mrityu is not identified with Yama. A religious teacher once came to visit Vena. The teacher was completely naked and his head was shaven. In his hands he held a broom made of the peacock feathers and a cup made out of coconut shell. Who are you? Asked Vena. What religion do you follow? I follow the true religion, replied the teacher. I am a Jain. My God is the Arhat and I teach the religion of mercy for everyone. I do not believe in useless ceremonies and in reading the Vedas. What purpose do yajnas serve? What purpose do funeral ceremonies serve? All that happens is that the Brahmanas get to have a good feast. The religion of the Vedas prescribes the killing of animals, but are not animal living beings as well? Why should there be this violence towards them? What's this class Varna system that you talk of? A Brahmana is determined by his actions, not by the mere accident of his birth. How can a river be a tirtha? It consists of drops of water. A tirtha can only be a place where religion is indeed practiced. Adopt my religion and you will be happy. These glib words pursued Vena and he became a Jain. Incidentally, there is a Padma Purana that is the sacred text of Jains. But adopting this evil religion, Vena became evil and deviated from the righteous path. He gave up the religion that was recommended by the Vedas. He ordered that Vedas would no longer be read in his kingdom and that all yajnas must cease. The donation of alms was forbidden. Anga tried to persuade his sons that all this was most improper. But Vena did not listen. This so disturbed Anga that he and Sunitha went away to the forest to meditate. The 7 great sages also tried to make Vena see reason, but Vena did not listen to them either. He insisted that there was no need to pray to the gods. If there was anyone who was deserving of worship, it was the king himself. This was angering the sages. Fearing their curses, Vena went and hid inside a termite hill. But the sages traced him there and dragged him out. The sages decided that someone else should be appointed king in Vena's place. But the problem was that Vena did not have a son. The sages started to knead Vena's body so that a son might be born. Vena's left arm was kneaded first. A dark dwarf emerged as a result of this kneading. His eyes were bloodshot and he was evil. He stood before the sages with folded palms. Nishida, said the sages. The word Nishida means sit. From this word the dwarf came to be known as Nishada. He and his descendants became a race of hunters and fishermen who made their home in the Vindhya mountains. The evil that was in Vena's body came out in the form of Nishada, and there was no more evil left in Vena. When Vena's right arm was kneaded, a powerful and righteous son named Prithu emerged. As for Vena himself, he went to the southern bank of the river Reva. The sage Trinavindu had a hermitage there. Vena made his home in the hermitage and started to pray to Vishnu. He meditated for 100 years. Vishnu appeared before Vena and gave him a lot of good advice. Because Prithu had been born after the evil had been purged from Vena's body, Prithu was righteous. When he was born, he emerged fully grown and glowing with the radiance of 1,000 suns. He was clad in shining armor and held all sorts of weapons in his hands. The entire world rejoiced at the Prithu's birth. The sages made arrangements for Prithu's coronation. Brahma himself appointed Prithu the ruler of the whole earth, and Prithu ruled the earth the way Indra rules heaven. The subject who had suffered during Vena's evil reign began to thrive and prosper. Righteousness prevailed everywhere. There was no disease or hunger. At one of the yajnas that Prithu arranged, 2 classes of people emerged from the flames of the sacrificial fire. They were known as the Sutas and the Magadhas. The sages decreed that the Sutas and the Magadhas should sing songs to celebrate the glories of Prithu. Ever since that day, the Sutas and the Magadhas have become bards and raconteurs who sing of the glories and the great deeds of kings and gods. But Prithu's subjects still did not have the means to make a living. They came and complained to Prithu that the earth had swallowed up all the food grains. In a bid to force the earth to restore the food grains, Prithu decided that he would shoot her. The earth fled. She adopted the form of an elephant and went and hid in the mountains. But Prithu discovered her there. The earth next adopted the form of a monkey, but was again discovered by the king. The earth now adopted the form of a buffalo, but Prithu found her out yet again. The earth finally adopted the form of a cow and fled to heaven. But the gods were not in a position to help her. Even Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva were powerless before King Prithu. The ass therefore sought refuge with Prithu himself. "Please do not kill me," she said. "I am a woman and killing me would be a sin. Besides, where your subject going to leave you, you kill me. I have a simple suggestion. I am in the form of a cow. Milk me instead and your goals will be attained." Prithu did what the ass asked him to. He milked the ass and out came an abundant supply of food grains on which Prithu's subject could live. Animal husbandry, agriculture and trade had been unknown prior to Prithu's time. Prithu also leveled out the ass with the tip of his bow. Earlier there had been no plains and mountains had been everywhere. Prithu created plains in which people could live. Because Prithu did this, the ass came to be known as Prithvi, after Prithu's name. Subsequently, Prithu performed an Ashramedha yajna, horse sacrifice, for his father Vena. He also performed tapasya so that Vena might go to heaven. It was because of Prithu's good deeds that Vena's sins were pardoned. Sukawa. The city of Varanasi is located on the banks of the river Ganga. In the sacred city there lived an Vaishyu named Krikawa. The Vaishyas constitute the third of the three classes Varna in India. Their primary duties were agriculture, animal husbandry and trade. Krikawa's wife was Sukawa. She was a sati. She was devoted to her husband. She was also an extremely religious and honest woman who mercilessly followed all that the Shastras prescribed. Krikawa had learned of the punya that could be acquired by visiting tirthas, sacred place, and decided that he would set out on a pilgrimage. Sukawa expressed a desire to accompany her husband on his travels. "You are my husband," she said. "It is my duty to be at your side all the time. Take me with you. How can I survive without you?" Dutiful wives must always be with their husbands. Blessed is the wife who regards her husband's right foot as a tirtha prayaga and his left foot as a tirtha pushkara. Blessed is the wife who bathes in water that has been used for washing her husband's feet. Please take me with you. Krikawa thought about this and decided that he could not take his wife with him. She would not be able to bear the rigors of the journey. But Sukawa would most certainly not let him go alone. While Sukawa had gone to a temple to worship the gods, Krikawa set out on his travels without telling her that he had left. Sukawa was miserable to find her husband missing. "Where has my husband gone?" she asked her friends. "He has left on a pilgrimage and will return," replied her friends. "Do not be despondent." "Very well then," said Sukawa, "I shall sleep on the ground until my husband returns. I will give up all good food and will eat only once a day until he returns. Once some days I will fast. Cursed am I that my husband has deserted me." "He has not deserted you," retorted the friends. "He has only gone on a pilgrimage and will return. What purpose will torturing your body serve?" "You do not understand the wisdom of the Vedas," said Sukawa. "The Shastra states that a husband is his wife's only tirtha. Nothing avails a woman whose husband has deserted her. Do you not know the story of Sudeva? King Ikshvaku ruled in the kingdom of Ayodhya. Ikshvaku ruled well. He was a righteous king and worshipped the Vedas and the Brahmanas. The king of Kashi, Varanasi, was Vedaraja, and Vedaraja had a daughter named Sudeva. Ikshvaku was married to Sudeva. Sudeva was devoted to Ikshvaku. Sudeva once accompanied Ikshvaku on a hunt. The king killed many lions, pigs, horses, and buffaloes. In that forest there lived a family of white pigs. The male pig told the female pig, "King Ikshvaku has come to the forest on a hunt. He has brought many hunters and dogs with him. He is certain to kill me. Why don't we simply run away?" asked the female pig. "I do something run away when ordinary hunters come," said the male pig. "Ordinary hunters are sinners and there is nothing to be gained by dying at their hands. But this time it is different. It is the king Ikshvaku himself who has come. I'm going to stay and fight with him. If I win, there will be undying glory for me. And if I lose, I shall go straight to heaven dying at Ikshvaku's hands. I refuse to fly. I have been born as a pig because of the many sins that I must have committed in my early life. All those things will be cleansed if King Ikshvaku kills me. Look after the family in case I do not live." "How can you say such things?" asked female pig. "You are the head of our family. It is to you that our sons look for protection. It is from you that they learn the ways of wild pigs. How can I survive if you should die? You are my husband and my place is by your side. Let us run away. I repeat that nothing is to be gained by dying unnecessarily." "I cannot run away," said the male pig. "That would be cowardice. And cowards go directly to hell, named Kumhipaka." "In that case, I am also going to accompany you," retorted the female pig. "My place is by my side." She called the eldest piglet and told him, "Your father and I are going. Take your brothers and sisters and hide in a cave. King Ikshvaku has come on a hunt." "How can you say such a thing?" asked the eldest piglet. "We are your children and have to stay by your side. If we forsake you, we will directly go to the hell named Maharudra. We will not leave you." The entire family of pigs therefore waited for the king under a hill. They were discovered there by the king's hunters. The hunters pursued the male pig with all sorts of weapons. The pig struck back with his tusk and gored several of Ikshvaku's soldiers. Ikshvaku was delighted to be confronted with such a brave pig and advanced on his own horse. But the pig charged the horse and knocked down the king from his perch. This so annoyed Ikshvaku that he dealt the pig a mighty whack with his club. The pig could not survive this stroke and fell down dead. All this while the female pig had been hiding with her children in a cave. Now that the male pig was dead, the hunters advanced to capture the female pig and her brood. "Run away, children," says the female pig. "I will try and starve off the soldiers. I hope I can hold them off long enough for you to flee." "We can do that," replied the eldest piglet. "I am your eldest son. Now that my father is no longer alive, it is my duty to protect you. You run away with my 3 brothers. I will stay and fight with the soldiers." The mother could not accept this. Both she and the eldest son stayed back to fight with the soldiers. The other 3 piglets took the opportunity to run away. The eldest piglet fought bravely, but Ikshvaku killed him with an arrow. As for the female pig, she too fought bravely and wounded many of the king's soldiers. But Ikshvaku made no attempt to kill her. "Why don't you kill the female pig?" asked Queen Sudeva. "Because the pig is female," replied the king. "Killing any female is a crime." Amongst the king's hunters was one named Jarjara. He had no such moral scruples. He struck the female pig with a sword, and the pig fell down unconscious. She did not immediately die. She merely lay there bleeding. Sudeva could not bear the sight of the female pig suffering so. She poured some cold water on the pig's mouth and wiped away the blood from the wounds. "Thank you, good queen," said the female pig. "My sins have been cleansed by your touch. I bless you that you may be fortunate." Sudeva was amazed to hear a female pig talk. "Who are you?" she asked, "and why about your husband? And what about your husband, who fought so bravely? Tell me your stories." "I will first tell you about my husband," said the female pig. "The male pig used to be a Gandharva, whose name was Ranga Vidyadhara. He was an excellent singer. The sage Purana had made his hermitage on Mount Sumeru. Ranga Vidyadhara came there and began to sing. So beautiful was the song that the sage could not concentrate on his meditation. "Please do something else," requested Purana. "Do not sing here." "Why should I go anywhere else?" asked Ranga Vidyadhara. "I'm just singing, and my songs do no one any harm. They please people. Why are you against singing?" "I'm not against singing," said Purana. "I have got nothing against the art, and I realize that it has its use. But your songs are distracting me, and I find it difficult to concentrate on my meditation. That is the reason I asked you to go and sing somewhere else." "If you cannot concentrate, that is your own failing," responded the Gandharva. I know that those who can really meditate are not disturbed by anything. This forest does not belong to you. I belong here just as much as you do. If my singing disturbs you, go and find some other place for your meditation." Purana controlled his anger. Without bending any further words, he went away. After a few days, Ranga Vidyadhara noticed that the sage was no longer to be seen. He found out that Purana had now made his hermitage in another part of the forest. The Gandharva felt like playing a trick on the sage. He therefore adopted the form of a pig and went to Purana's hermitage. He tore up the ground with his hoofs and gored the sages with his tusk. Purana was initially inclined to ignore all this disturbance. He forgave the pig as it was a wild animal, but he soon realized that the pig was none other than the Gandharva in disguise. He cursed Ranga Vidyadhara that he would be born as a pig. Realizing that these things had got out of hand, the Gandharva fled to Indra and told him of his misfortune. "Please help me," he begged the king of the gods. "I did what I did only for your sake." The sage was meditating, and he was certain to acquire tremendous powers once his tapasya was accomplished. Who knows, he might then have aspired for the title of Indra. "I cannot undo this sage curse," replied Indra. "I can at best mitigate its effects." When as a pig you are killed by King Ishavaku, you will become a Gandharva once again. Please tell me your story now, requested Sudeva. There used to be a city named Shripura, and a Brahmana named Vasudata lived there. Vasudata had a daughter named Sudeva. This Sudeva should not be confused with Ikshavaku's wife. Vasudata was a good Brahmana. He studied the Vedas and observed religious rites. His only fault was that he loved his daughter too much. Sudeva grew up, but Vasudata made no attempt to get his daughter married off. Many Brahmanas came to crave Sudeva's hand, but Vasudata refused them all. What are you doing? Asked Sudeva's mother. Why are you not married off of your daughter? I am looking for a Brahmana who will marry Sudeva and live with us, replied Vasudata. I love Sudeva so much that I cannot bear the thought of her going away to her in-laws. No, my son-in-law will live with us. After some time had passed, a Brahmana named Shivasharma came to visit Vasudata. He was well read in the Shastras. More importantly, he had no parents. His only relatives were 4 brothers who lived elsewhere. Vasudata ascertained that Shivasharma was not averse to the idea of marrying Sudeva and living with Vasudata. The marriage took place. Unfortunately, Sudeva had been spoiled by her father's excessive love. She had not learned that she should obey and respect her husband. Her father Vasudata was rich, but Shivasharma was poor. Sudeva treated her husband with contempt and heaped abuse on him. Out of love for Sudeva, Shivasharma stomached all this. When it became too much for him to bear, he left this house without telling anyone where he had gone. This is a great calamity, Vasudata told his wife. He had a most desirable son-in-law, and he has now forsaken us because of the way our daughter has treated him. This is terrible. I am going to throw Sudeva out of my house. This is hardly fair, replied Sudeva's mother. It is you who have spoiled your daughter through excessive love. The learned says that a child should be brought up with the love only until it is 5 years of age. After that it is time for the road. If you spare the road, your child will be spoiled. The learned also says that a daughter should stay in her father's house until she is 8 years of age. After that it is time to her to get married, and she should always go and live with her husband. The daughter and the son-in-law should never live in the father's house. Do you not know the story of King Ugrasena? King Ugrasena used to rule in the city of Mathura. The king of Vidarbha was Satyaketu, and Satyaketu had a daughter named Padmavati. Padmavati was married to Ugrasena. Ugrasena was devoted to Padmavati and loved his queen, but Padmavati did not reciprocate her husband's love. In comparison with Satyaketu, Ugrasena was not at all wealthy, and Padmavati always compared the prosperity in her father's kingdom with the relative poverty in her husband's. After some years has passed, Satyaketu asked Ugrasena to send Padmavati to her father's houses. He had not seen his daughter for a long time. Also, Ugrasena was loath to part with Padmavati. He agreed, and Padmavati went on a visit to her father. The comfort that Satyaketu's household provided turned Padmavati's head, and she showed no inclination of returning to her husband. There was a mountain not very far from Satyaketu's capital. Padmavati once went to visit that mountain. Kubera, the god of wealth, had a companion named Govila. Govila happened to be passing in a Vimana space vehicle, and his eyes fell upon Padmavati. Padmavati was so beautiful that Govila fell in love with her. Through his powers, Govila found out that this enchanting woman was a king Sugrasena's wife. Since Padmavati was already married, Govila realized that she could not possibly marry him. He hit upon a stratagem. He adopted Ugrasena's appearance and came before Padmavati. Padmavati did not realize that this was not Ugrasena. She welcomed Govila, whom she took to be her husband. Govila charmed her with her powers of singing. Padmavati was initially surprised at this, but assumed that her husband had acquired some new powers. After they had lived together for some time, Padmavati realized that it was not Ugrasena that she was living with. "Who are you, and why you have deceived me thus?" she asked. "You are not my husband." "I am not," replied Govila. "But why are you so bothered? I am Govila, Kubera's companion. I would not have deceived you. Had I not realized that you do not love your husband? Would you have forsaken your husband had you loved him? It is you who are the guilty one." Having said this, Govila left, and Padmavati was mortified. She returned to the king Ugrasena in Mathura. The king gladly welcomed his wife back. After 10 years had passed, a son was born to Padmavati. This was, however, not Ugrasena's son, but Govila's. Kamsa was this terrible son, and he had to be killed by Krishna. Having related this story, Vasudata's wife advised her husband to indeed banish his daughter. There was no point in having an evil daughter. Vasudata said to his daughter Sudeva, "It is because of you that my son-in-law Shivasharma has left. Go back to your husband. You are no longer welcome in my house. And if you cannot find him, go wherever you will." Sudeva found that she was not welcome anywhere. People shunned her. No one wished to associate with a wife who had made her husband desert her. "A sinner is a coming," they would exclaim and run away. Sudeva traveled from kingdom to kingdom. She was poor and begged for a living as best as she could. Eventually she arrived in the city Vanasthala, in the kingdom of Surashtra. Om Shakti Hrim, Om Namo Narayana, Om Tat Sat.